At 2 a.m., a door splintered apart beneath the boots of armed officers. A woman stood barefoot in her living room, her hands trembling, her dignity under siege. But then in the corner of their vision the officers froze. An FBI jacket hung neatly on her wall. Silence swept the room, and everything changed. The night was thick with stillness when the door gave way. Officers poured into the apartment, their flashlights slicing through the dark, their voices sharp, demanding, urgent. At the center of it all stood a woman, eyes wide, hair tousled, caught between fear and disbelief. She was not a suspect. She was not a criminal. She was simply a woman woken from her sleep, stripped of safety in her own home. Her name was Camille. To the world outside, she was just another face, another neighbor who came and went. But her life carried the weight of battles few could understand. She was a veteran, a survivor of places where silence was broken by distant gunfire and the acrid sting of smoke. Her nights were restless, haunted by memories of comrades who never made it home. And yet, here she was, standing unarmed in her own living room, treated as if her dignity were disposable. The officer's commands ricocheted around her, but Camille's voice never rose. She did not scream. She did not plead. Her silence was not weakness. It was discipline, the kind forged in deserts and war zones where composure meant survival. She could smell the cold steel of their weapons, feel the vibration of their boots against the wooden floor. Every second was a reminder that her sacrifices had been forgotten in this moment of violation. On her wall, above a worn bookshelf, hung a single jacket. Its dark fabric carried the golden letters that once defined her path. FBI. Not a souvenir, not a costume, but a symbol of service. Years of work in the shadows, and loyalty to the very institutions now threatening her sanctuary. One officer turned his head, his beam catching the insignia. His voice faltered. Another followed his gaze, his jaw tightening as realization spread. Silence descended like a curtain. The commands stopped. The noise stopped. The room changed. In that stillness, their authority cracked. Not by force, but by the undeniable presence of her truth. Camille's backstory was carved in sacrifice. She had once carried wounded soldiers across foreign soil, her uniform heavy with dust and blood. She had endured sleepless nights listening to radios whispering the names of the fallen. She had come home with medals tucked in drawers, but with memories that weighed more than any decoration. For years she worked quietly, serving in investigations that demanded courage and discretion. And now, after all she had given, her own country had barged into her home, as if none of it mattered. The tension thickened. Some officers shifted uncomfortably, their eyes fixed on the jacket, as though it accused them. Others avoided her gaze entirely, ashamed of what they saw. Not a threat, but a hero disrespected. In the quiet, Camille stood straighter. She needed no words, no protest. Her silence was louder than their commands. One thought lingered in the room, unspoken yet heavy. She has given more for this nation than any of us in this moment. It was then that one of the younger officers lowered his weapon. The others followed, slower, reluctantly, the authority slipping from their posture. The raid that began with aggression ended with a silent retreat. No apology was spoken, but the shame in their eyes was apology enough. They left behind splintered wood and unanswered questions, but also a moment that would never leave them. Camille's words, though never spoken aloud, hung in the air. Respect is not granted by force. It is earned by sacrifice. Some battles are fought with silence, and silence can roar louder than any command. In the weeks that followed, neighbors who once barely noticed her now paused to greet her with quiet reverence. The story spread, not through headlines but through whispers, retellings, and shared outrage. To many, she became a symbol of unseen strength. To others, a reminder that honor can be overlooked, but it cannot be erased. And as Camille repaired her door, her jacket remained on the wall, untouched, not as a warning but as a testament, a symbol that those who give everything for their country deserve more than suspicion. They deserve respect. In the end, her silence triumphed, not through force, not through anger, but through dignity. And so the story leaves a question. In a world quick to judge and quick to forget, how often do we overlook the silent heroes among us? If you believe stories like this need to be heard, share your thoughts below. Tell us where you're watching from, and subscribe for more tales of dignity, sacrifice, and silent strength. Because some stories don't shout, they whisper. And still, they change everything.